Ken and we stay in the corner? We'll be quiet, the triplets promised. Destiny had no choice. Her babysitter canceled. The dinner rush began. A black limousine pulled up. A billionaire walked in and sat at table 7. Suddenly, her son broke free and ran across the restaurant. "Daddy!" He jumped into the billionaire's arms. Destiny's heart stopped. The man looked at the child's face with shock, then at the other 2 identical children, then at Destiny. His eyes widened. "It's you, from the cruise, 5 years ago." He looked at all 3 children. "They're mine?" But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. The silence in the diner was thick and heavy. Every person had stopped moving. They were all looking at the man in the expensive suit and the little boy attached to his leg. Destiny's feet finally unlocked. She rushed forward, her heart pounding in her ears. She pried Miles's small arms from around James Thorne's leg. "Miles! No, baby, no!" she said, her voice a tight whisper. She scooped him up, holding him close. He felt warm and solid against her. She turned to James. His face was pale. His bright blue eyes were wide. "I am so sorry. He doesn't do that. I don't know why he did that." James did not speak. He just looked at her. Then his gaze moved over her shoulder to the back booth. Malcolm and Maya were both standing on the seat, their small hands on the table, staring at the scene with identical looks of curiosity. Destiny felt the world tilt. She hugged Miles tighter and hurried back to the booth. She set Miles down next to his brother and sister. Her hands were shaking badly. Sit right here. Do not move, not 1 inch," she said to the 3 of them. Her voice was firm, but it shook. All 3 children sat down slowly, their big eyes watching her. She took a deep breath and turned around. The diner was still quiet. Some people had gone back to their food, but they were still stealing glances. Her friend Chloe was behind the counter, her mouth open in shock. Destiny walked back to James's table. He was still sitting down. He was staring at the booth where the children were. "Sir, Mr. Thorne, I am so sorry for the interruption," she said, forcing her waitress voice to work. "Can I get you anything else?" James finally looked up at her. He opened his mouth, then closed it. He shook his head slowly. "Just the check, please." "Of course," Destiny said. She nearly ran to the register, printed his bill, and brought it back. He took a black credit card from his wallet and handed it to her without a word. She processed the payment as fast as she could and brought back the slip for him to sign. He took the pen. He did not sign it right away. He looked at her name on the receipt. "Destiny," he said softly. It was not a question. "Yes," she said, her voice barely a whisper. He signed the paper, left a large amount of cash on the table, and stood up. He was very tall. He looked once more at the children. Then he looked directly into her eyes. He seemed like he wanted to say something else, but he just turned and walked out of the diner. The bell on the door jingled behind him. Destiny let out a breath she did not know she was holding. She cleared his table with unsteady hands. She could feel Chloe watching her. For the next hour, she worked in a daze. She served pie and coffee. She refilled sodas. But her mind was somewhere else. It was on a boat, 5 years ago. The warm Caribbean air. The sound of music. A kind man with dark hair and blue eyes who bought her a drink. One incredible, impulsive night. She had never told anyone his name. She had never even known his last name. She only knew he was from New York and he was leaving in the morning. She remembered finding out she was pregnant. She remembered the ultrasound showing 3 heartbeats. She was alone and scared, but she decided to keep them. She built her whole life around them. And now he was here, in Miami, in her diner. Her shift ended at 10 o'clock. She helped Chloe close up. "Destiny, what in the world was that?" Chloe asked as she wiped down the counter. "Do you know that guy?" "It's nothing," Destiny said quickly. "Just a mistake. Miles got confused." Chloe looked like she did not believe it. "He looked at you like he knew you, and those kids, Destiny, they have the exact same eyes as him." "It's a coincidence," Destiny said, but her voice sounded weak. "Can you help me get them to the car? They're asleep." Malcolm, Miles, and Maya were all curled up in the booth, sleeping on top of their coloring books. Destiny and Chloe gently woke them up. They were groggy and fussy. Destiny carried Miles and Chloe carried Maya, while Malcolm held Destiny's free hand, walking with his eyes half closed. They went out the back door into the employee parking lot. The night air was warm and damp. Destiny's old sedan was parked under a flickering light, and someone was standing next to it. James Thorne was leaning against his own car, a sleek silver vehicle that looked out of place in the lot. He was still there. He had been waiting for her. Chloe stopped walking. "Oh," she said. "It's okay, Chloe," Destiny said, her fear coming back. "Can you please put Maya in the car seat?" Chloe nodded, eyeing James warily. She opened the back door of Destiny's car and started buckling a sleeping Maya into her seat. Destiny put Miles in his seat, then helped Malcolm into his. She closed the door softly, then turned to face James. Chloe stood by the driver's door, not getting in. "Can we talk?" James asked. His voice was calm, but there was a tightness in it. "Just for 5 minutes." "I have to get my children home," Destiny said. "Please," he said. The word sounded strange coming from him, like he was not used to saying it. 5 minutes. You can stay right here by the car." Destiny looked at Chloe. Chloe gave a small shrug that meant, asterisk, you should talk to him. "Okay," Destiny whispered. 5 minutes." She walked a few steps away from her car, but stayed where she could see the children inside. James followed her. The buzzing of the faulty parking lot light filled the silence. "You remember me," James said. It was not a question this time. Destiny crossed her arms over her chest. She nodded. "Yes. The cruise, the Asterisk Island Star Asterisk. 5 years ago." "April," he said. "Yes," she said again. "I never got your last name," he said. "I looked for you the next morning, but you were gone. I had to fly to London for a business deal." "I had to go home," Destiny said. She did not tell him she had left because she was scared. Scared of feeling too much for a stranger. James looked at the car. The dome light was on, showing the 3 sleeping children. "How old are they?" he asked. "They are 4 years old," Destiny said. Her throat felt dry. "They just turned 4 last month." James did the math. His face changed. The shock was gone, replaced by a deep, intense focus. 4 years old. Born in March? March 27th, Destiny whispered. He closed his eyes for a second. "Our night was in April. 5 years ago this April." He opened his eyes. They were filled with a storm of emotions. "The timing, Destiny, the timing is perfect. It doesn't mean anything," she said quickly, taking a step back. "Lots of people have blue eyes." "Not like that," he said, his voice low. "And not 3 of them, together, all with my hair, my mother's eyes." He ran a hand through his own dark hair. "You never thought to contact me?" "How?" Destiny asked, a spark of her old defensiveness flaring up. "I didn't know your last name. I didn't know anything about you except you were some rich guy from New York. What was I supposed to do? Go to every office in the city and ask for a James I met on a cruise?" "I would have helped you," he said, taking a step toward her. "I don't need help. she said, her voice trembling. I have done just fine on my own. We are fine. James looked at her. He saw the tired lines around her eyes. He saw her worn-out sneakers and her simple diner uniform. He saw the old car with the child seats in the back. He did not see fine. I need to know, he said, his voice firm but not unkind. I have to know if they are mine. Why? Destiny shot back. So you can put them in a report? So you can tell your friends you have 3 kids somewhere? What do you want from us? I want the truth, he said, his calm breaking for a second. He took a deep breath. I have a right to know, and they might have a right to know me. Please, let's just get a DNA test. A simple test. Then we will know for sure. Fear, cold and sharp, stabbed Destiny's heart. A DNA test. Lawyers, courts, a man with unlimited money who could take her children away if he wanted to. She had heard stories. No, she said, no tests. We are doing fine. You can just go back to New York and forget this ever happened. I can't do that, James said. He looked at the car again. Look at them. How can I just forget? I will arrange everything. The best lab. It's just a swab in the mouth. It doesn't hurt. I will pay for it all. I don't want your money, Destiny said, her voice cracking. This isn't about money, James insisted. This is about facts. Please, just the test. Once we have the results, we can talk. We can figure out what to do next. Destiny felt trapped. The parking lot felt small. He was not yelling. He was being reasonable. That scared her more. If he yelled, she could fight. But his calm request felt like a door closing. She thought about her children. What if he was right? What if they had a right to know their father? What if he could be something good for them? But what if he took them from her? You promise? She heard herself say. You promise it's just the test? You won't try anything else? I promise, James said. He looked directly into her eyes. I just need to know. Destiny looked at her car, at her sleeping children. She was so tired. Tired of fighting every battle alone. Okay, she whispered. The word felt like a surrender. Okay, James repeated. He pulled out his phone. I will have my lawyer contact you tomorrow to arrange it. He will come to you. You won't have to go anywhere. Thank you, Destiny. He turned and walked to his car. He did not look back. He got in and drove away. Chloe walked over to her. What did he say? He wants a DNA test, Destiny said numbly. Oh, honey, Chloe said, putting an arm around her. Destiny got into her car. She started the engine. The sound was loud in the quiet night. She drove out of the parking lot and onto the Miami streets. The streetlights made stripes of light and shadow across the sleeping faces of her children in the back seat. As she drove, one thought repeated in her mind over and over, keeping time with the sound of the tires on the road. Asterisk. My life is about to change forever. The thought would not leave her mind. It was there when she finally got the children into their pajamas and into bed. It was there when she washed the few dishes in her small kitchen sink. It was there when she tried to sleep, staring at the ceiling fan going around and around. Asterisk. My life is about to change forever. 2 days later, a woman in blue medical scrubs knocked on her apartment door. She carried a small case. Destiny Jones? I'm Nora, from the Genetron lab. Mr. Thorne's office arranged for me to come. Destiny's stomach tightened. She had almost hoped James would forget, or change his mind. But here was the proof he had not. Come in, Destiny said, her voice quiet. The apartment was small. Malcolm, Miles, and Maya were playing with blocks on the living room floor. They looked up at the stranger with curious eyes. This will be very quick, Nora said with a kind smile. She opened her case and took out some papers. "I just need you to sign these consent forms. Then I'll do a simple cheek swab from each child. It doesn't hurt at all. It's like brushing the inside of their cheek with a soft cotton tip." Destiny signed the papers. Her hand shook. She was signing away her secret. She was making their private life official. "Okay, who wants to go first?" Nora asked the children. "What is that?" Maya asked, pointing at the long cotton swab. "It's a magic wand," Nora said playfully. "I'm just going to tickle the inside of your cheek to get a tiny, tiny fairy. It takes 1 second." Maya giggled. "Okay." The procedure was as fast as Nora promised. She gently swabbed the inside of Maya's cheek, then Malcolm's, then Miles'. Each child sat still for a moment, then went back to their blocks. It was over in less than 5 minutes. "All done," Nora said, placing the swabs in special tubes and labeling them. "The results will be ready in 7 to 10 business days. You and Mr. Thorne will each receive a copy by secure mail." She packed her case, gave Destiny another sympathetic smile, and left. Destiny closed the door and leaned against it. It was done. There was no going back. Her phone rang an hour later. The screen said unknown number. She knew who it was. "Hello?" "Destiny, it's James." His voice was clear, professional. The nurse confirmed the samples were collected. "Yes," she said. "Good." There was a pause. "The waiting period is inefficient. I would like to see them." Destiny's grip on the phone tightened. "No, we wait for the results." "Why?" James asked. The word was not angry, but genuinely confused. "If they are mine, I have already missed 4 years. I don't want to miss another day. If they are not mine, then I will leave and you will never hear from me again. But either way, I would like to meet them. As people." "It will confuse them," Destiny said. "Children are more adaptable than we think," he replied. "Please, let me take you all to the park, somewhere public. You will be there the whole time. I just want to see them." "No," Destiny said again, but her voice was less firm. "Destiny," James said. His tone changed. It became softer, less like a businessman. "I am asking you, as the man you met on that boat, not as a lawyer or a CEO, I am just asking to blow some bubbles in a park with 3 kids who might be my children." She closed her eyes. She thought of Miles running to him. She thought of the lost look in James's eyes, in the diner. "Which park?" she whispered. "Coral Gables Park. On Saturday morning. At 10 o'clock, he said quickly, as if afraid she would change her mind. "Is that okay?" "Okay," she said. "Thank you," he said, and the call ended. Saturday morning was bright and sunny. Destiny dressed the triplets in their best play clothes. She told them they were going to the park to meet a friend of Mommy's. "Is it the man from the restaurant?" Malcolm asked, his head tilted. Destiny's heart skipped a beat. "Yes, his name is James. He is nice. He wants to play with you for a little while." When they arrived at the park, James was already there. He was standing by a bench, holding a small paper bag. He was not wearing a suit. He wore dark jeans and a simple gray t-shirt. He looked younger. He looked nervous. The children hid behind Destiny's legs when they approached. "Hello," James said. He crouched down so he was closer to their height. "You must be Malcolm, Miles, and Maya. I'm James. It's very nice to meet you." He looked at each one as he said their name. No one spoke. Maya peeked out from behind Destiny's knee. James opened his paper bag. "I brought something." He pulled out a bottle of bubbles. He opened it, dipped the wand, and blew. A stream of shiny, floating bubbles flew into the air. The children's eyes lit up. Miles took a step forward, then looked back at his mother. Destiny gave a small nod. Miles ran forward, trying to pop the bubbles. Malcolm followed. Maya stayed by Destiny for a moment longer. Then she too ran after the shiny orbs. James blew more bubbles. He smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. He watched them chase and laugh. Then he did something Destiny did not expect. He sat down right on the grass, cross-legged. He put the bubble bottle in the middle of the circle. "Who wants to try?" he asked. "Me!" Miles shouted. James showed Miles how to dip the wand and blow gently. Miles tried, and a few small bubbles wobbled out. He giggled with delight. James helped Malcolm next, then Maya. Soon, all three children were taking turns, covered in a light, soapy film, their laughter filling the air. Destiny sat on the bench, watching. She watched James show Miles how to make a bigger bubble. She watched him lift Maya onto a swing and give her a gentle push. She watched him kneel next to Malcolm, who was intently watching a line of ants, and listen as Malcolm explained where the ants were going. He did not look at his phone. He did not seem bored. He watched the children as if they were the most fascinating thing he had ever seen. After a while, an ice cream cart came by. James looked at Destiny. "May I?" She hesitated, then nodded. He bought 4 small cups of vanilla ice cream, one for each child and one for Destiny. He handed them out. He did not get one for himself. "Aren't you having any?" Maya asked, her mouth already messy. "I'm okay," James said. "I just like watching you enjoy it." When the ice cream was gone and the children were getting tired, James helped clean their hands and faces with a wet wipe he had in his pocket. He walked with them back to Destiny's car. "Thank you for coming," he said to Destiny. Then he looked at the kids. "Thank you for playing with me today. I had a lot of fun." "Bye, James," Miles said, waving. "Goodbye, Miles," James said. "Goodbye, Malcolm. Goodbye, Maya." Destiny got the children buckled into their car seats. As she started the car, she saw James still standing in the parking lot, watching them drive away. That night, after their bath, as Destiny was tucking Maya into bed, Maya looked up at her. "Mommy?" "Yes, sweetie? Is James going to come back and play again?" The question hung in the quiet room. Malcolm and Miles, in their own beds, were listening. Destiny smoothed Maya's hair. "I don't know, baby. Maybe." "I hope he does," Maya said, and rolled over, closing her eyes. Destiny turned out the light and closed the door softly. She stood in the quiet, dark hallway. She thought of James sitting on the grass. She thought of his patient voice. She thought of the look on his face when he watched them. Putting the kids to bed, Destiny wondered if letting James in was the best decision or her biggest mistake. The question from Maya stayed with Destiny. It echoed in her head as she went through the motions of her week. The early mornings, the daycare drop-offs, the long shifts at the sunny side up. She did not have an answer. James called on Wednesday evening while she was cooking macaroni and cheese for the children. "Hello? Destiny. It's James. I was wondering if you and the children would like to go to the Miami Children's Museum this Saturday." Destiny stirred the pot. "I'm working the lunch shift on Saturday." "In the afternoon, then," he said, undeterred. "I have checked. It's open until 6 o'clock. We could meet at 2. She wanted to say no. It felt like a trap. Every time she saw him, it made the idea of him leaving harder for the kids, and for her. But she remembered their happy faces at the park. They had so little fun. "Okay," she said. 2 o'clock. Saturday came. Destiny met James in the museum parking lot. The building was bright and colorful, shaped like a pyramid. The children were buzzing with excitement. James handled everything. He paid for all 4 of their admissions at the kiosk with a quick tap of his card. Inside, he bought them tokens for the special exhibits without asking. He guided them from room to room, a giant grocery store, a ship to climb on, a bank, a TV studio. Destiny watched him. He was not playing, not like at the park. He was more like a guide. He showed Miles how the cash register worked. He helped Malcolm put on a life vest on the ship. He lifted Maya up so she could see herself on the television screen. He was engaged, but it was different. He was solving the museum, like it was a project. After 2 hours, the children were getting tired and fussy. They walked back to the parking lot. James drove a different car today, a black SUV that was big and quiet. "Can I give you all a ride home?" James asked. Destiny looked at her 3 overtired children. Her car was parked across the lot. "Okay," she said. "Thank you." The drive was quiet. The children were almost asleep in the back. James glanced at Destiny in the passenger seat. "This was good," he said. "They are very smart. Curious." "They are," Destiny said softly. James cleared his throat. "Destiny, I've been thinking. Your apartment is small for 4 people. And I know the daycare you use. I looked into it. It's adequate, but there are better options." Destiny felt a chill. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I want to help," James said, his eyes on the road. "I can set up an account for expenses, for a bigger place, for a top-rated preschool. You wouldn't have to worry." There it was. The money. Destiny had been waiting for it. It was the tool he knew how to use. "No," she said, her voice flat. James glanced at her, surprised. "Why not? It would make your life easier. It would give them more opportunities." "I provide for my children," Destiny said, her hands tightening in her lap. "We don't need your money. We have what we need." "But you could have more," James said, and she could hear the frustration in his voice. It was the frustration of a man who could not understand why his solution was being rejected. "You work all the time. You're tired. This could help." "I said no," Destiny repeated, her voice sharper. "We are not a problem for you to fix with a check. We are fine." James was silent for the rest of the drive. When they pulled up to her apartment building, he put the car in park, but did not turn it off. Destiny quickly got the children out, unbuckling them from the strange plush seats. "Thank you for the museum," she said, not looking at him. "You're welcome," James said. His phone began to ring on the console. The screen flashed with a name, Vanessa. James ignored the call. "You should get that," Destiny said. "It's not important," James said. But the phone rang again. Same name. Destiny took the children and hurried inside. She did not look back. In the SUV, James finally answered the phone on the 3rd ring. "Vanessa, this isn't a good time." A sharp, polished voice came through the speaker. "I heard a fascinating piece of gossip, James. I had to hear it from my masseuse, of all people. She read it in a finance blog. Is it true? You've fathered a litter of children with some waitress in Florida?" James's jaw tightened. "That is none of your business. Everything about you is my business, legally and socially, until our divorce is fully settled," Vanessa snapped. "Do you have any idea how this looks? James Thorne, tech visionary, knocked up a diner server. It's tacky. It's a liability. It makes you look weak and foolish." "My personal life is not a liability," James said, his voice cold. "It is when it involves unplanned offspring and a woman who will clearly want a payday," Vanessa said. "She's a gold digger, James. It's so obvious. She waited until they were old enough to be cute and then sprung them on you." "You have no idea what you're talking about," James said, anger rising in his chest. "I know people like her," Vanessa said dismissively. "I'll be in Miami tomorrow. We need to talk. You need to handle this before it handles you." "Do not come here, Vanessa," James warned. The call ended. James sat in the quiet car for a long time, his hands gripping the steering wheel. The next day, a silver rental car pulled up across the street from Destiny's apartment building. Inside, Vanessa Thorne watched through oversized sunglasses. She saw Destiny come out with the 3 children, load them into her old car, and drive away. Vanessa followed at a distance. She followed them to the Sunny Side Up diner. She watched Destiny kiss each child goodbye as a woman in a daycare van picked them up. She watched Destiny walk into the diner and tie an apron around her waist. Vanessa found a parking spot. She walked into the diner. She wore a cream-colored linen dress that cost more than Destiny's car. She chose a booth with a clear view of the counter and the serving area. Chloe walked over to her, chewing gum. "What can I get for you?" "Just a black coffee," Vanessa said, not looking at her. Her eyes were on Destiny, who was refilling an old man's coffee cup, smiling warmly. Chloe brought the coffee. Vanessa took a small sip and made a faint face. She placed her phone on the table, angled slightly. When Destiny passed by, carrying a tray of food, Vanessa tapped her screen. It looked like she was checking a message, but the camera was on. It took a picture. She took another when Destiny was wiping a table, looking tired, and another when Destiny was laughing at something the cook said through the service window. Vanessa paid for her coffee with cash and left. She got back into her rental car. She opened a contact on her phone labeled Gossip Blog Tony. She typed a message and attached the photos. Asterisk Tony, darling, some hot tea for you. My source says this is Destiny Jones, a waitress at the Sunny Side Up in Miami. She's currently trying to trap billionaire James Thorne, yes, that Thorne, by claiming her triplets are his. Total gold digger move. Thought you'd want the exclusive. She's playing the poor single mom card, but she's just after his wallet. V. She hit send. 2 days later, Chloe was on her break at the diner, scrolling through her phone while eating a grilled cheese sandwich. She choked on a bite. "Oh no," she whispered. "Oh, Destiny, no." "What's wrong?" Destiny asked, sitting down next to her with a tired sigh. Wordlessly, Chloe turned her phone around. On the screen was a website called Celeb Buzz Daily. The headline read, "Diner Drama. Waitress Targets Billionaire with Baby Daddy's Surprise." There were the photos of Destiny at work. The article talked about a hard-working waitress and mystery triplets and a high-stakes paternity claim against James Thorne. It used words like opportunistic and convenient. The comments below were ugly. People called her names. They said she was lying. They said she just wanted money. Destiny's face lost all its color. She felt like the room was spinning. The noise of the diner faded to a dull roar. "It's not true," she breathed. "None of it is true." "I know, honey, I know," Chloe said, putting an arm around her. "Who would do this?" Destiny knew. It was the world James lived in. A world where people took pictures and wrote stories and destroyed lives for fun. She stood up on shaky legs and walked to the bathroom. She locked the door behind her and leaned against the sink, staring at her reflection in the mirror. Her eyes were wide with fear and shame. Wiping her tears, Destiny knew the article was just the beginning of the trouble James's world would bring. The ugly words from the article swam in Destiny's head for days. She avoided looking at her phone. She tried to act normal for the kids, but inside, she felt sick. The world James came from had found her, and it had left a stain. 1 week after the article appeared, a plain white envelope arrived in her mail. It was mixed in with bills and flyers. The return address said Genetron Laboratories. Destiny's breath caught in her throat. She pulled it out and held it. It felt heavy. She placed it on her small kitchen table. She did not open it. She made the children their lunch. She cleaned their spills. She folded laundry. All the while, the envelope sat there, a silent judge. Her phone rang. It was James. "Hello? Destiny, the results are here. I got my copy," he said. His voice was strangely flat. "I got mine too," she whispered, looking at the envelope. "I'm coming over," he said. "No, don't," she said quickly. "Please, just tell me over the phone." "I need to be there," he said. "I am on my way." The call ended. Destiny felt a wave of panic. She looked at the envelope and she thought about throwing it away, unopened. She could pretend it never came. She could tell James she lost it. She could keep her life as it was. But she knew she could not. The truth was in that envelope. It would not go away. 20 minutes later, there was a knock on her door. Her heart pounded. The triplets were in the living room watching a cartoon. She opened the door. James stood there. He was wearing a suit, but it was wrinkled. He looked like he had not slept. In his hand, he held an identical white envelope, already torn open. "Can I come in?" he asked. She stepped aside. He walked into her small apartment. He looked at the children and gave a small, tense smile. They waved shyly, then went back to their show. James saw the unopened envelope on her kitchen table. He pointed to it. "You haven't looked." "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice very small. James put his own envelope down next to hers. He ran a hand through his hair. "I know. I am too. But we have to look. Together." Destiny shook her head. "Just tell me. Are you?" She could not finish the sentence. "I want you to see it for yourself," James said gently. He picked up her envelope and held it out to her. "Please, Destiny, open it." Her hands were trembling so badly she could barely take it. She sat down at the table. James pulled out the other chair and sat across from her, watching her face. She took a deep, shaky breath. She slid her finger under the flap of the envelope and tore it open. She pulled out a single sheet of paper. There was a lot of small print. Her eyes scanned the words, not understanding the legal language. Then she saw their names. Asterisk. Alleged father, James Michael Thorne. Child, Malcolm Jones. Probability of paternity, 99.99% asterisk. She blinked. She looked at the next section. Asterisk child. Miles Jones. Probability of paternity, 99.99% asterisk. And the next. Asterisk child. Maya Jones. Probability of paternity, 99.99% asterisk. The numbers blurred. The words "is not excluded as the biological father" and "considered conclusive" jumped out at her. She read the lines over and over. The paper made a soft rustling sound in her silent kitchen. She looked up at James. His blue eyes were fixed on her, waiting. She saw tears welling in them. "What does it say?" he asked, his voice rough. "It says—" Destiny's voice broke. She tried again. "It says you are, for all of them." A single tear escaped and rolled down James's cheek. He did not wipe it away. He closed his eyes for a long moment. When he opened them, they were full of a pain and a joy so deep it shocked her. "They're mine," he whispered. It was not a question. It was a realization that settled into his bones. He stood up abruptly, the chair scraping on the floor. He walked to the window, his back to her, his shoulders tense. He was silent for a full minute. Destiny just sat, holding the paper, feeling numb. James turned around. His face was wet. 4 years, he said, his voice cracking. "I missed 4 years. I missed them being born. I missed their first steps. I missed every single birthday. I missed them learning to talk." He came back to the table and knelt in front of her chair, so his eyes were level with hers. "Do you understand? I missed everything." "I know," Destiny said, her own tears falling now. I want to be their father, James said, his words urgent. I don't want to miss another day. I want to be here for school plays and skinned knees and teaching them to ride bikes. I need to be in their lives every day. The enormity of his words crashed over her. This was no longer about tests or visits. This was about forever. Her carefully built, fragile life was cracking open. James, we need to talk about what this means, she said, wiping her cheeks. We need to figure things out. Slowly. I don't want to go slow, he said, but his voice was pleading, not demanding. I have so much time to make up for. They're little kids, Destiny said. They can't handle everything changing at once. I can't handle it. James nodded, taking a deep breath. He reached out and tentatively put his hand over hers on the table. Okay, we will talk. We will make a plan. Together. At that moment, a loud, sharp knock echoed through the apartment. It was not a friendly knock. It was hard and impatient. The children looked up from the TV. Who's that, Mommy? Malcolm asked. I don't know, Destiny said, pulling her hand away from James's. She stood up, confused. James stood too, his protective instincts snapping into place. He moved slightly between her and the door. The knock came again, louder. Destiny walked to the door and looked through the peephole. Her blood ran cold. Standing in the hallway was a beautiful woman, with sleek blonde hair and a cold, perfect smile. It was the woman from the photos in the gossip article. Vanessa. Destiny opened the door just a crack. Can I help you? Vanessa's smile did not reach her eyes. We need to talk. She pushed the door open without waiting for an answer and walked right in. She looked around the small apartment with clear distaste. Her eyes landed on James, then on the children, then on the paternity papers still on the table. Well, Vanessa said, this is cozy. James stepped forward, his face like stone. Vanessa, you need to leave, now. In a minute, James, she said, her voice smooth as ice. She turned her gaze to Destiny. You must be the waitress. She looked her up and down. Congratulations, I suppose. It seems you hit the jackpot. Get out of her home, James said, his voice low and dangerous. Vanessa ignored him. She pulled out her phone and tapped the screen. She held it up so both James and Destiny could see. The screen showed a picture of a much younger Destiny. Her hair was wild. Her makeup was smeared. She was holding a beer bottle and laughing on a crowded dance floor. It was from a time in her life she tried very hard to forget. A time of loneliness and bad choices right before she found out she was pregnant. Destiny felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. She could not breathe. Where did you get that? James demanded. I have my sources, Vanessa said. I have more. Pictures from parties, from nights out. This is not the image of a stable, devoted mother, is it? She looked at Destiny. What would the family courts think? Or the nice people at social services? A single mother with a colorful past. That was years ago, Destiny cried, shame burning her face. Before I had them. It doesn't mean anything. It tells a story, Vanessa said calmly. She put her phone away. Here is my offer, James. You sign over the 15% stake in the New York venture to me. You do it by tomorrow afternoon. If you do, these pictures disappear. I forget I ever saw them. If you don't, she looked at Destiny, I send them to every news outlet in the country. The narrative writes itself. Billionaire's baby mama has wild past. Unfit mother seeks payday. Your little waitress here will never have a moment's peace. Every time she takes those kids to a park, someone will be taking her picture. Every job she applies for, they will see this. James was shaking with rage. You are despicable. I'm practical, Vanessa corrected. She walked to the door and turned back, and she gave a small, cold smile. Congratulations, Daddy. Now let's talk about what this will cost you. The door clicked shut behind Vanessa, but her cold smile seemed to hang in the air of the small apartment. The silence she left behind was heavy and loud. Destiny could not move. She felt exposed, as if those old pictures were plastered on the walls for everyone to see. James was staring at the closed door, his fists clenched at his sides. He was breathing hard. A small sound made them both turn. Malcolm, Miles, and Maya were standing at the edge of the living room, their cartoons forgotten. Their little faces were scared and confused by the loud voices and the angry lady. "Mommy?" Maya's voice was a tiny whisper. The sound broke Destiny's paralysis. "It's okay, babies. It's okay," she said, rushing over to them. She knelt and pulled all three into a hug. They clung to her. "Everything is okay. That lady was just leaving." James watched them, his rage softening into a pained protectiveness. He took a deep breath, trying to calm down for their sake. "Why was she mean?" Miles asked, his face buried in Destiny's shoulder. "She's not a nice person," James said, his voice carefully controlled. "But she's gone now." It took 20 minutes to calm the children down. Destiny got them cups of water. James found a silly cartoon on the television. Slowly, they became distracted and went back to playing with their blocks on the floor, though they stayed closer to Destiny than usual. Finally, Destiny stood up. She felt hollow. She walked to the kitchen table and mechanically started gathering the paternity papers, putting them back into their envelopes. Her hands were still shaking. James came to stand beside her. "Destiny," he said quietly. "Those pictures," she said, not looking at him. Her voice was flat. "That was a long time ago. It was before I knew I was pregnant. It was a bad time. I was alone. I was making bad choices." She finally looked at him, her eyes filled with shame. "I'm not that person anymore. My children are my whole life. You have to believe me." "I do believe you," James said, without a moment of hesitation. "I don't care about those pictures. I care that she has them. I care that she wants to use them to hurt you." "She wants to hurt you," Destiny corrected him, wrapping her arms around herself. "I'm just the tool she's using." "It's the same thing," James said firmly. "She's threatening my family. That's what you are. That's what they are." He gestured to the children. "My family." The word should have comforted her. Instead, it terrified her. Being his family made them a target. "What are you going to do?" she asked. "I'm not giving her my company," James said, his jaw tight. "That venture is my next big project. Hundreds of people work on it. If I give her control, she could ruin it. She could sell it to a competitor. Then she'll send the pictures to everyone," Destiny said, the nightmare playing out in her mind. "The news, the blogs, my daycare. Everyone will see them. They'll think I'm a terrible mother. People could call social services." Her greatest fear, spoken out loud. "I won't let that happen," James said, his voice fierce. "How?" Destiny asked, a spark of her old defiance flaring through the fear. "How can you stop it? You can't buy this away, James. This isn't a problem you can throw money at. She's going to tell lies about me to the whole world." "Then we tell the truth first," James shot back. "The truth?" Destiny gave a bitter laugh. "The truth is, those pictures are real. I was there. I did those things. All anyone will see is a party girl. They won't care that I was 22 and sad and stupid. They'll just see what she wants them to see." They were arguing in heated whispers, trying not to alarm the children. The stress of the day, the results, the threat. It was all boiling over. So what is your solution? James asked, frustrated. I just hand over my work to her? Let her win? That sets a precedent. She'll never stop. She'll always have this over us. My solution is that you don't give her anything, Destiny said. You say no. You let her do her worst. I can handle it. I've handled bad things before. I'll talk to the daycare. I'll explain. I'll deal with it. You shouldn't have to deal with it. James's voice rose slightly before he caught it himself. He lowered it again. It's my fault she's in your life, my past, my mistake in marrying her. I need to protect you from this. By letting her take your company? That's not protection. That's surrender. Destiny shook her head. I won't be the reason you lose something so important. You are more important. The words burst out of him, loud and clear. The children looked over. He closed his eyes, pinching the bridge of his nose. When he spoke again, it was measured. You and those 3 children are more important than any company. Don't you understand that? Destiny stared at him. She saw he meant it. And that scared her too. Because if she let him make that sacrifice, the weight of it would crush her. She would owe him everything. I don't want you to choose, she said, her voice breaking. I don't want to be a choice between your work and your us. That's not fair. Vanessa didn't make it fair, James said. He looked at his watch. She gave me 48 hours. I need to think. I need to call my lawyer. To do what? Destiny asked. To find another way, James said. He started pacing the small kitchen. There has to be another way. A legal injunction. A counter-threat. Something. He sounded like he was back in his boardroom, strategizing. But this wasn't a business deal. This was her life. James, she said softly, just go. Go talk to your lawyer. Figure out what you think is best. He stopped pacing and looked at her. He saw the exhaustion and defeat on her face. The joy of the paternity results had been completely swallowed by this new darkness. I will fix this, he promised, his voice intense. Destiny just nodded. She didn't believe anything could be fixed anymore. James walked to the door. He paused and looked back at the children, who were watching him with quiet eyes. I'll see you soon, he said to them, forcing a smile. Then he looked at Destiny. I'll call you tomorrow. He left, closing the door softly behind him. Destiny listened to the sound of his car driving away. Then she slid down to sit on her kitchen floor, her back against the cabinets. She pulled her knees to her chest and rested her forehead on them. The children came over. They didn't say anything. Malcolm sat down next to her and leaned his head on her arm. Miles patted her back. Maya climbed into her lap. She held them. These 3 perfect reasons for everything. She had fought so hard to build a safe, quiet world for them. A world with routines and macaroni and cheese and bedtime stories. Now, a woman with a phone full of old pictures could smash it all to pieces. Alone again, Destiny realized the fight was no longer just about paternity. It was a war for their future. The night after James left felt like the longest of Destiny's life. She barely slept. When her phone rang the next morning, she jumped. It was James. Hello? Destiny, I have a plan, he said. His voice was calm, determined. What plan? The Miami Hope Charity Gala. It's this Saturday night at the Fontainebleau Hotel. I want you to go with me. Destiny almost laughed. It was so absurd. A gala? James, I'm not going to some fancy party. I have the kids. I have work. I don't have anything to wear. That's not my world. That's exactly why you need to go, James insisted. Vanessa's whole attack is based on hiding in the shadows. She uses secrets and lies. She thinks we will be ashamed. The best way to fight that is to stand in the light, Together. Publicly. Stand in the light so everyone can stare at me, Destiny said, her voice tight. So people like her can whisper and take more pictures? No, thank you. Please, James said, and the word held a new weight. I am asking you to trust me. We go together. We show a united front. We show the world and Vanessa that her gossip and her pictures don't scare us, that we are a family. Destiny was silent. She thought of hiding in her apartment, waiting for the next attack. She thought of the scared look in her children's eyes when Vanessa yelled, I don't know how to be at a place like that, she whispered. You just have to be you, James said. I will handle everything else. Say yes. A part of her, the part that was tired of being afraid, wanted to say yes. Okay, she heard herself say. Okay, I'll go. On Saturday afternoon, a delivery van arrived at her apartment. A woman brought in a large, elegant box. Inside was a dress. It was a deep blue, simple but beautiful. It looked soft and expensive. There were matching shoes and a small clutch bag. An hour later, a hairstylist named Sophia arrived with a case of tools. Mr. Thorne sent me to help you get ready, Sophia said with a warm smile. Destiny felt like she was in a dream. She took a shower while Sophia laid out the dress. Sophia did her hair, curling it and pinning part of it up. She did Destiny's makeup, but kept it light. You have a lovely face, Sophia said. We just want to enhance it. When Destiny put the dress on, it fit perfectly. She looked in the mirror. She saw a stranger, a beautiful, polished stranger who looked like she belonged on a magazine. She didn't feel like herself. At 7 o'clock, a long black car arrived. James got out. He was wearing a tuxedo. He looked like a movie star. He stopped when he saw her, his eyes widening slightly. Destiny, he said, you look incredible. I feel weird, she admitted. You look perfect, he said. He helped her into the car. They drove in silence for a few minutes, both nervous. The Fontainebleau Hotel was huge and glowing with lights. There were people in beautiful clothes walking up the stairs. There were photographers. James took her arm and placed it gently through his. Stay close to me, he said quietly. They walked inside. The ballroom was enormous. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. There were tables covered in white cloths and shining silver. Hundreds of people were talking and laughing. The air smelled like flowers and expensive perfume. As they entered, Destiny felt dozens of eyes turn toward them. The chatter dipped for a second. She heard whispers. She saw people leaning toward each other. She wanted to run. James held her arm firmly. He led her into the crowd. He introduced her to people. This is Destiny Jones, he would say, the mother of my children. People would smile, but their eyes were curious and sharp. Destiny smiled back, her face feeling stiff. Across the room, she saw her. Vanessa. She was wearing a tight silver dress. Her blonde hair was perfect. She was holding a champagne glass and talking to a group of people. She saw James and Destiny. Her smile did not change, but her eyes turned cold. The night went on. Destiny tried to eat the fancy food. She tried to follow the conversations about things she did not understand. James stayed by her side, but she felt alone in the sea of glittering strangers. Then, during a quiet moment near the dessert table, Vanessa made her move. She glided over, a few of her friends following like shadows. "James, darling," Vanessa said, her voice sweet but loud enough for others to hear. "And you must be Destiny. How charming to finally meet you properly." She looked Destiny up and down. "That's a lovely dress. It's amazing what money can do, isn't it?" Destiny froze. James stepped slightly in front of her. "Vanessa, that's enough." "I'm just making conversation," Vanessa said innocently. She turned her gaze fully on Destiny. "It must be so difficult for you, dear, raising 3 children all alone, and working in that dreadful little diner. I can't imagine the stress. It's no wonder you needed to find a way out." The people around them had stopped talking. They were listening. "I provide for my children just fine," Destiny said, her voice trembling. "Of course you do," Vanessa said, her tone implying the opposite. "Now that you have their father's resources, it must be a relief. No more worrying about bills, no more serving hash browns to strangers. Just a simple DNA test, and your problems were solved." Very clever. Destiny felt tears of humiliation prick her eyes. She wanted to disappear. But James did not get angry. He did not raise his voice. He turned to face the small crowd that had gathered. He took Destiny's hand in his. His grip was strong and warm. "You're right, Vanessa," James said, his voice clear and carrying. "Destiny is the strongest person I know. But you have the story wrong." Everyone was listening now. "She didn't find me for money. I found her. 5 years after I was lucky enough to meet her, I walked into her diner, and my son called me Daddy. She had raised our 3 beautiful children all by herself for 4 years. She worked long hours. She sacrificed everything. She never asked me for a single thing. Not for money, not for help. She built a life for them with her own 2 hands." He looked at Destiny, his eyes full of a fierce pride. "She is not a gold digger. She is a miracle worker, and Malcolm, Miles, and Maya are not a problem or a way out. They are my greatest achievement. Not a single thing in this room, not my company, not any amount of money, matters compared to them, compared to her." He turned back to Vanessa. "Your threats are empty. Your pictures are old news. You want to talk about my family? There they are. I am proud of them, and I choose them over everything else." The ballroom was utterly silent. Vanessa's face was bright red with fury. She had nothing to say. The people around them were not looking at Destiny with judgment anymore. They were looking at her with respect. Some were even smiling. Vanessa spun on her heel and stalked away, her friends scrambling after her. James kept hold of Destiny's hand. He leaned close, his voice for her alone. The noise of the party started up again around them. As Vanessa retreated, James whispered to Destiny, "It's you and me now, a team." The morning after the gala, sunlight streamed through the blinds of Destiny's apartment. She woke up with a strange feeling. It was quiet. The world had not ended. Her phone was on the nightstand. She hesitated, then picked it up. She opened a news app. Her fingers trembled. She typed James Thorne into the search bar. The first article that popped up was from a business website. The headline read, "Thorne chooses family in heartfelt gala speech." She clicked on it. The article described James's defense of her. It called him principled and loyal. It quoted his words about her being a miracle worker. There was no mention of gold diggers, no old pictures. She saw another article from a Miami society blog. "Billionaire dad embraces new family publicly." This one had a photo from the gala. It showed James holding her hand, looking at her, not at the camera. She looked at herself in the photo. She looked scared, but she also looked supported. Her phone rang. It was James. "Good morning," he said. His voice sounded lighter. "I saw the articles," Destiny said. "So did I," James replied. "My lawyer just called. Vanessa's lawyer contacted him. She is dropping all her demands. The blackmail is over. She has no leverage anymore." Destiny sat down on the edge of her bed. The relief was so sudden it felt like a physical wave. "It's really over?" "That part is over," James said. "But we are just beginning. Can I come over? We need to talk." A real talk. An hour later, James was in her living room. He was back in his jeans and t-shirt. The triplets were at daycare. It was just the two of them. He sat on her worn sofa. She sat in the chair across from him. "I meant what I said last night," James began. "I don't want to take them from you. I would never do that. I want to help you. But I don't know how to do that without making you angry or scared. So I am asking you, what do you need? What do you want?" Destiny was quiet for a long time. She had built walls so high for so long. Letting someone in, even to ask for what she needed, felt dangerous. "I am scared," she admitted, looking at her hands. "I'm scared you'll change your mind. I'm scared you'll get busy with your work and disappear. And then the kids will be hurt. I'm scared of relying on someone. Everyone I've ever relied on has left." James nodded slowly. "I understand. I can't promise I'll be perfect. My work is in New York. I have to go there. But I can promise I will not disappear. I missed 4 years. I will not miss any more. But you have to let me in." "I want to go back to school," Destiny said suddenly. The words tumbled out. It was her deepest secret dream. "I never finished. I want to be a nurse. I want to be able to provide a better life for them, on my own terms. Not from your money, but from my own work." James's face lit up. "That's a fantastic idea." "But I can't do it alone," she continued, her voice shaky. "I can't work full-time, go to school, and take care of 3 kids by myself. I need help with childcare, with a schedule." "I can help with that," James said immediately. "That's not giving you money. That's sharing responsibility. That's what a father should do." Destiny took a deep breath. "And I'm scared of you too." "Of me? You're used to getting what you want. You're used to being in charge. I can't have you coming in and making all the decisions about my children. We have to decide things together, even if we disagree." James leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. "You're right. I am used to being in charge, but this isn't a company. This is a family. I don't know how to do this. My own father was never around. He was always working. He showed love by writing checks. I don't want to be that. I need you to tell me when I'm doing it wrong." For the first time, Destiny saw real fear in his eyes. Not fear of a business loss, but fear of failing as a father. It made him seem human. It made her feel less alone. "Okay," she said softly. "Okay," he repeated. "So we are a team. Co-parents. We put the kids first. We talk about everything. We make decisions together." "Yes," Destiny said. The next week, James took her to see a house. It was in a neighborhood called Coral Gables. The streets were quiet and lined with trees. The house was not a huge mansion. It was a normal 2-story house with a porch and a fenced backyard. "Why are we here?" Destiny asked as they stood on the sidewalk. "Because your apartment is too small," James said. "And it's not in a great school district. This house is. The elementary school is 3 blocks away. The yard is safe for them to play." "I can't afford this," Destiny said, even though she loved it immediately. "You can," James said. "I'm not giving it to you, I'm buying it. It will be in your name. That way you always have security. It's yours, no matter what happens between us. It's for the children's stability." Destiny walked through the empty rooms. She saw a big kitchen. She saw 4 bedrooms, 1 for each child, 1 for her. She saw a window seat where they could read books. She imagined them running in the backyard. Tears filled her eyes. It was a safe, beautiful space. It was everything she had ever wanted for them, but could never provide. "Okay," she whispered. James arranged everything. The house was put in her name. He set up something called a trust fund for each child, for college. He explained the rules to her. The money could only be used for education. She would be in charge of it with him. Then he brought her brochures for the nursing program at Miami-Dade College. "I spoke to them," he said. "You can start in the fall. It's a 2-year program. I will cover the tuition. That's not a gift. That's an investment in the mother of my children so she can build the career she wants." This time, Destiny did not say no. She said, "Thank you." James started spending weekdays in New York and weekends in Miami. He had a bedroom in the new house for when he visited. He did not decorate it. He said she could do that. One Saturday, they had their first parent-teacher conference for the children's new preschool. They sat in tiny chairs across from the teacher, Miss Lopez. "Malcolm is very thoughtful," Miss Lopez said. "Miles is full of energy. Maya is a little artist. They are all doing very well." James listened intently. He asked questions about their friends and their favorite activities. Destiny watched him. He was trying so hard. That evening, after the children were in bed, James and Destiny sat at the big kitchen table in the new house. They had a calendar and a notebook. "So," James said, clicking a pen, "my flight back to New York is Sunday night. I'll be back next Friday afternoon. I can take them to soccer on Saturday morning if you have studying to do." Destiny looked at the calendar. She saw the next 2 months mapped out. School days, his visits, her class schedule, pediatrician appointments. It was not empty and scary. It was full and planned. For the first time, Destiny looked at the future calendar and felt hope instead of fear. 2 years passed in a rhythm that once seemed impossible, and Destiny's life became a busy, colorful calendar of her own making. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays were for nursing school. Tuesdays and Thursdays, she worked shorter shifts at the diner, now just for extra money and because she missed Chloe. Weekends were for the children and often for James. James kept his promise. He spent weekdays in New York at his company and flew to Miami almost every Friday afternoon. He had his own key to the house in Coral Gables. The children knew the sound of his car in the driveway. They would shout, "Dad's here!" and run to the door. One Saturday, Destiny was studying for a biology exam at the kitchen table. Her textbooks were spread out. She heard laughter from the driveway. She looked out the window. James was in the driveway, kneeling next to a brand-new bicycle with training wheels. Miles was standing next to him, wearing a tiny helmet. "Okay, buddy," James said, his voice calm and patient. "Put your foot here. I've got the back of the seat. I won't let go." Destiny watched as James jogged alongside the wobbly bike, his hand firmly on the seat, as Miles pedaled with intense concentration. Across the lawn, Malcolm was reading a book under the oak tree. Maya was at the patio table, drawing with a set of new markers James had brought. This was their life now. It was not perfect. They had disagreements. Just last week, they had argued about whether the children were old enough for a pet. James said yes, a dog. Destiny said no, too much work. They had tabled the discussion, but they talked. They talked about homework and discipline and bedtime. James called every night he was in New York, usually at 7 o'clock, to say goodnight to the kids. He would ask about their day. He would sometimes read them a story over the video call. Destiny was doing well in her classes. She got an A on her first anatomy exam. She framed the test and hung it on the refrigerator. James had sent her a text that day. Asterisk, I knew you could do it. So proud. One ordinary Tuesday, the routine broke. Destiny was in between classes at the college library when her phone buzzed. It was the number for the children's daycare. Her stomach dropped. They only called for emergencies. Hello? Miss Jones? This is Linda at Little Sunshine. We have Malcolm here. He has a very high fever, 104 degrees. He is very lethargic and says his head hurts. We think you need to take him to the doctor right away. Destiny's books nearly slipped from her arms. "I'm on my way. I'll be there in 15 minutes." She ran to her car, her heart hammering. 104. That was so high. Lethargic. She drove as fast as she safely could, her hands clenched on the wheel. When she got to the daycare, Malcolm was lying on a small cot, wrapped in a blanket. His face was flushed bright red. His eyes were glassy. He didn't even say "Mommy" when she picked him up. His body was burning hot. "Malcolm, baby, I'm here," she whispered, her voice shaking. She buckled him into his car seat, his head lolling to the side. She called the pediatrician's office as she drove. The nurse told her to go straight to the Miami Children's Hospital emergency room. Destiny's mind was racing with every terrible thing she had learned in nursing school. Meningitis, sepsis. She tried to push the thoughts away. She pulled into the emergency room parking lot. She carried Malcolm inside, his hot head against her neck. The triage nurse saw them immediately. They took Malcolm's temperature again. It was still 104. They were taken to a small, bright room. Nurses put Malcolm in a hospital gown and started an IV for fluids. A doctor came in. He asked Destiny many questions. She answered them all, her voice thin with fear. Malcolm was awake, but quiet. He just looked at her with tired, sick eyes. Destiny sat on the edge of the hard chair, holding his small, hot hand. She felt so alone. The sterile smell of the hospital, the beeping of machines, it was overwhelming. Then she thought of James. He was in New York. He was probably in a meeting, but she needed to call him. He was Malcolm's father. She stepped into the hallway for a moment. She dialed his number. It rang once, twice. "Destiny?" he answered. She could hear voices in the background. A meeting. "James," she said, and her voice broke. "It's Malcolm. He's in the hospital. He has a fever of 104. They don't know what's wrong yet. They're running tests." There was a beat of silence on the other end. Then, the background noise cut out completely. He had left the room. "Which hospital?" His voice was sharp, clear, and totally focused. "Miami Children's, the ER. I'm on my way. I'll call you from the plane. Tell him I'm coming. I love you both." The call ended. Asterisk, "I love you both." The words weren't romantic. They were a statement of fact, of family. They steadied her. She went back into the room and sat by Malcolm's bed. "Dad is on his way," she whispered to him. Malcolm just blinked slowly. The next few hours were a blur of waiting. Nurses came and went. They gave Malcolm medicine to bring the fever down. They took blood. Destiny held his hand and sang his favorite song softly. Her phone buzzed. A text from James. Asterisk wheels up in 20. See you in 3 hours. 3 hours later, just as the sky outside was getting dark, the curtain to the room swished open. James stood there. He was still wearing his suit from New York, but his tie was loose and his hair was messy, like he had been running his hands through it. He looked straight past the doctor and went to Malcolm's bedside. He put a large, gentle hand on Malcolm's forehead. "Hey, champ," he said, his voice much softer than Destiny had ever heard it. "Dad's here." Malcolm's eyes opened a little wider. "Dad?" he whispered. "Yeah, buddy, I'm right here." James turned to the doctor. "What's the situation?" The doctor explained that the blood tests pointed to a severe bacterial infection. They had started strong antibiotics through the IV. The fever was coming down slowly. They needed to keep Malcolm in the hospital for at least 2 nights to make sure the antibiotics worked. James listened, nodding. He asked intelligent, precise questions about the type of bacteria and the treatment plan. Then he turned to Destiny. "Have you eaten anything?" She shook her head. "Go," he said. "Go to the cafeteria. Get some coffee. Get some food. I'll stay right here. I won't move." Destiny was so tired. She nodded. She kissed Malcolm's cheek and walked out of the room. She got a terrible coffee and a sandwich from the cafeteria. She sat alone for 20 minutes, letting the silence wash over her. When she returned, the scene in the room had changed. James had pulled the chair right up to the bed. He had taken off his suit jacket. Malcolm was asleep, his breathing easier. James was still holding his son's hand with one of his own. With his other hand, he was typing on his laptop, which was balanced on his knees. The dim light from the screen lit up his tired, focused face. He looked up when she entered. "His fever is down to 101, he said quietly. He slept a little. The nurse said, "That's good." Destiny sank into the other chair. "You didn't have to come," she said, though she was so grateful he had. "Yes, I did," James said simply. He went back to his emails. They took turns through the long night. Destiny slept for a few hours in the chair. When she woke up, James was still there, reading something on his phone. He had asked the nurse for a blanket and had tucked it around Destiny's shoulders. By morning, Malcolm's fever was almost gone. He woke up and asked for apple juice. The doctor came in and said the antibiotics were working beautifully. Malcolm would be okay. James finally relaxed. The tight line of his shoulders slumped. He looked exhausted, but he smiled when Malcolm drank his juice. Later that day, when Malcolm was well enough to watch cartoons on the hospital TV, James and Destiny stood together in the hallway. "Thank you," Destiny said, "for coming, for being here." "This is where I'm supposed to be," James said. He looked back into the room at Malcolm, who was laughing at the cartoon. "This is the most important thing." They brought Malcolm home the next day. He was weak but happy. James stayed in Miami for the whole week, working from the house. He helped give Malcolm his medicine. He read extra stories. He made soup. Watching James make Malcolm laugh with a silly story about a lost sock, Destiny knew their unusual family was exactly what they all needed. The morning of the triplets' 6th birthday was full of sunshine and noise. Malcolm, Miles, and Maya ran through the house in their pajamas, their voices high with excitement. "We are 6 today," Miles yelled, jumping on his bed. "Birthday beach party," Maya sang, twirling in a circle. Destiny smiled, her heart feeling full. She was in the kitchen, packing a large cooler with sandwiches, fruit, and juice boxes. She had baked 3 small cupcakes the night before. They were not fancy, but they were made with love. The back door opened, and Chloe walked in, carrying a bag of beach toys. "Happy birthday to the Munchkins," she called out. The children ran to hug her. "Aunt Chloe, you're here." "Wouldn't miss it," Chloe said, winking at Destiny. "You need help loading the car?" "Yes, please," Destiny said. Together, they carried the cooler, a bag of towels, a blanket, and a small box of presents out to Destiny's car, which was now a little newer and more reliable. As they were putting the last bag in the trunk, another car pulled into the driveway. It was James. He got out, wearing khaki shorts and a polo shirt. He looked relaxed. He was carrying 3 large wrapped gifts. "Dad!" all 3 children shouted, running to him. James grinned, putting the gifts down to give each of them a hug. "Happy birthday, you 3. 6 years old. That's a big deal." He walked over to Destiny and Chloe. "Morning. Need help with anything?" "I think we've got it," Destiny said. "But thank you." They drove in 2 cars to the beach. It was a public beach in Key Biscayne, not too crowded. The sky was clear blue. The waves were gentle. James and Chloe helped Destiny set up their spot. They spread out a big blanket and put down the cooler. James pushed an umbrella into the sand to make some shade. The children did not wait. They kicked off their sandals and ran toward the water, their new beach towels flying behind them like capes. "Wait!" James called. He jogged after them. Life vests first, remember? He helped each child put on a bright orange life vest. Then he took their hands and walked them into the shallow waves. Destiny watched from the blanket. She saw Miles squeal as a wave hit his legs. She saw James lift Maya up over a bigger wave, making her laugh. She saw Malcolm jumping beside them, holding James's other hand. Chloe sat down next to Destiny. "Look at him. Who would have thought?" "I know," Destiny said softly. "He's really good with them." "He's a good dad," Chloe said. "And you're a great mom. You built this." After a while in the water, they played games on the sand. James organized a sack race using some old pillowcases. He raced against Miles and fell on purpose, making Miles win. They played frisbee. James showed Malcolm how to throw it so it would sail on the wind. Destiny and Chloe blew up beach balls. They all played a messy, laughing game of keep away. When the children started to get hungry, they came back to the blanket. Destiny passed out sandwiches and apple slices. James opened the juice boxes for everyone. "Time for cake," Maya announced. Destiny took out the 3 cupcakes. She put a single candle in each one. James helped her light them in the breeze, shielding the flames with his hand. Chloe started to sing, "Happy birthday to you." James and Destiny joined in. "Happy birthday to you." "Happy birthday, dear Malcolm, Miles and Maya. Happy birthday to you." The 3 6-year-olds took deep breaths and blew out their candles. They made wishes. "What did you wish for?" James asked Miles. "I can't tell," Miles said, giggling, "or it won't come true." "Fair enough," James said, smiling. They ate the cupcakes, getting frosting on their noses and in the sand. "Present time," Malcolm said, his eyes going to the wrapped gifts. James handed them out. The children tore off the paper. Inside were not flashy, expensive toys. There was a new bike for each of them, but James had brought a photo of the bikes to show them, since he couldn't bring the bikes to the beach. There were also new art supplies for Maya, a science kit for Malcolm, and a real child-sized soccer ball for Miles. "The bikes are at home, in the garage," James explained. "We can try them out when we get back." "Thank you, Dad," Maya said, throwing her arms around his neck. Malcolm and Miles joined the hug, and James found himself in the middle of a sandy, sticky group hug. He closed his eyes, holding them tight. When he opened them, he looked at Destiny over their heads. His eyes were shiny with happy tears. The afternoon sun began to sink lower in the sky, painting the clouds in colors of orange and pink. The children were tired now, building one last sandcastle with James. Destiny and Chloe packed up most of their things. Destiny and James sat together on the blanket, watching the kids pat the final tower of the sandcastle. "They had a good day," James said. "The best," Destiny agreed. "You did a great job organizing it," he said. "We did," she corrected gently. He nodded. "We did." He was quiet for a moment. "I have to fly back to New York early tomorrow. There's a board meeting at 9 o'clock. "I know," Destiny said. "It's on the calendar. We'll see you next Friday." "Yes," James said. He paused. "Thank you, Destiny." "For what?" "For letting me be their dad," he said. His voice was thick with emotion. "For building this with me. I know it's not what you planned. It's not what I planned either. But it's good. It's really good." Destiny looked at him. He was not the stiff, scary billionaire from the diner. He was just a man, covered in sand, with salt in his hair, and love for his children written all over his face. "It is good," she said. "Thank you for showing up." As the sun touched the edge of the ocean, they called the children over. They all stood together for a picture. Chloe took the photo. In it, the 5 of them are standing on the beach. Malcolm, Miles, and Maya are in the front, smiling with missing teeth. Destiny and James are behind them, their hands on the children's small shoulders. They are not touching each other, but they are standing together, a united front. Everyone is smiling. They drove home as the sky turned dark. The children fell asleep in the car almost instantly, worn out from sun and fun. At the house, James carried Miles inside. Destiny carried Maya. Chloe helped guide a sleepy Malcolm to his bed. They got the children into their pajamas without really waking them up and tucked them into bed. Chloe gave Destiny a hug. "I'm heading out. Great party." "Thanks for everything, Chloe," Destiny said. After Chloe left, Destiny and James cleaned up the quiet house. They put away the leftover food. They rinsed the sand off the toys. They did not talk much. They just worked together, a well-practiced team. When the kitchen was clean, James looked at his watch. "I should get to my hotel. Early flight." "Okay," Destiny said. She walked him to the front door. He turned to her. "Tell them I'll call tomorrow night, and I'll be back Friday for the school science fair." "I will," she said. He hesitated, then gave her a quick, warm hug. It was a hug between friends, between partners. "Good night, Destiny." "Good night, James." He left, closing the door softly behind him. Destiny locked the door. She walked through the quiet, safe house. She stopped in the doorway of each child's room, watching them sleep. Their faces were peaceful. She went to the kitchen and picked up her phone. She looked at the picture from the beach. The sun was behind them, making their faces glow. She saw her children's joy. She saw her own smile, relaxed and real. She saw James's smile, proud and happy. She put the phone down. Her family was not traditional. It was built from an unexpected night, a big mistake, a lot of fear, and even more courage. It was built on choice, on showing up, on cleaning up sand together and taking turns at the hospital and arguing about pets. Her family was safe. Her family was loved. Her family was together. As the sun dipped below the ocean, Destiny understood that family wasn't about how it started, but about who showed up every day.